We've all heard the complaint that white people don't get their own holidays, that they can't organize around white identity, and that's not entirely true. There are a ton of organizations centered around European ancestry. You've got things like German heritage societies, Irish cultural centers, just to name a few. And there are Highland Games all over the US, Oktoberfest celebrations, St. Patrick's Day parades in just about every major city. The Forefathers, the all-white group of colonial men who are revered today, are posted in every school across the country. And the only faces we see on the money that we actually use. That's celebration, that's pride, and no one has a problem with it. So what's the difference? White is the difference. It's the word we use casually, but is just as often shocking and upsetting. But that is what white people are. They're white. But this group name and identity was created and reinforced through law, power, hierarchy for hundreds of years. So it's not just about where you're from, it's about how people have been sorted, valued, and treated. And that's exactly why you can actually see the discomfort around it. People will say Caucasian before they have to publicly refer to themselves or the group as white. Organizing around Irish or Greek preserves culture and doesn't automatically mean white supremacy. Organizing around white has historically meant something very different. And that's a big part of the reason white Americans were able to conduct matters exclusively around white identity and culture without ever having to name it. White doesn't have to be named, and it's front and center most of the time. And when people organize around white identity or express white identity, it almost always turns into racism. So it's not that white people can't celebrate identity, it's what it looks like when it is celebrated or talked about. That's not something people of color need to fix or approve of. It's not up to people of color to permit pride in white identity. There's much work that needs to be done, and that work has to come from white folks. And it's not just about history. It's not just about slavery. We've all experienced, we've all witnessed, seen white racism in action. We can see and experience the effects of systemic racism presently in real time. Let me just say it's not my fault or the fault of Black people that this day may not come for a very long time. In the meantime, white identity itself is not bad. White identity and heritage doesn't stop and end with racism. People can and should acknowledge white American culture and norms because it's very real. And when we do this, we stop treating whiteness as the invisible default. The things we've been taught to see as just normal stop getting that special treatment, and we start talking about them as real culture with real norms, real values, real power. We can't properly examine what we can't name. Follow along if you want to understand how whiteness functions and shows up in daily life, and to learn about white American culture and how this culture has shaped other cultures within the US and beyond.